All right. Welcome to Through the Mill, a live play D&D series from Dying of Exposure. I am your game mommy. My name is Steve. We're going to introduce everyone to start off. Let's go with our tiefling. Tiefling, you want... No? Nothing? Nothing? Are you not here? You're the worst, tiefling. Let's go to the bugbear.
She's not moving. Maybe she's not okay. I don't. Hi, I'm Greg. I play Skataki Skato, the Bugbear Ranger.
And we're going to skip over the tiefling and go down to the halfling.
Hey, my name is Brandon. I play Barry, the half-orc barbarian.
And then from the half-orc, we're going to go directly across to the coyote man.
I'm Josh. I'm playing Trapir, a big old coyote boy, druid.
And then up from Trapir, we have directly the sexy cat person.
Oh, that is me. I'm Selene. I'm playing Velvet Star, the Tabaxi Rogue Archer.
And last and certainly not least, we have our wonderful precocious lizard boy.
That's right. I'm Kravar. I play Dragonborn Paladin.
Just to let everyone know, we don't have patience. We don't have Camille tonight, and so that's a little sadness for the group. This is all going to be sorcery focused as plotting. So the really no. Of course, we're not going to involve things that need their character. But we'll do a little recap of what happened last week. So last week, most of the campaign's importance laid in the fact that the group was dragged into some Kenku conflicts, and inevitably had to confront that problem with the commander of the Kenku mercenary group. The most significant part of it was the discussion about what the Kenku had plans, but Krav, using his innate charisma, managed to seep out a bit more information from a subordinate Kenku outside the commander's tent. It looks like there might be a deal or an alliance there, as well as, of course, we've got our friend, Mr. Goodhammer, now known as Bad Dickie, back at it, back in the mix to help them out. So we've got some allies, maybe potential allies, maybe not allies. We'll find out. But after some quick back and forth discussions, a little bit of discovery of what the Kenkus have planning with a dark artifact that allows them to potentially control this underworld domain, large beast that's coming for Water's Wealth. After all of that is discovered and discussed amongst the group, they find themselves approached by the Magister and the Magister's assistant, confronted pretty much immediately with the events that have been happening in Water's Wealth for the last couple days, or at least invited to talk about that. And so we left right at the recognition of that invitation, so we're going to pick up there. Again, we are on the eastern side of Water's Wealth by the so often used landmark of the clock tower. There off the east on the main road. In that section, we have the Magister, a halfling, and their primary assistant. Which reminds me, I need to move my notes out of the way of the rest of the group so that you can't read them as I read them. And with the assistant, basically informed them that the Magister, a very smartly dressed halfling, would like to have a conversation with them. It is about mid-afternoon. Still plenty of time before Star's date with David. And the group is all standing there. So I believe the line we left off is the assistant, Miss Tanvish, simply stating calmly that the Magister would like to talk to you about the events of the last couple days that have been happening in Water's Wealth and how you might be related to them.
I'm gonna just look around.
Well,
Patience, what do you have to say about?
Patience kind of looks left and looks right, and then goes, I don't, what? Okay. That's
Trapper's
enough.
definitely looking at Skitaki
this
as
is just somebody.
potentially the only one who knows this
Yeah,
guy.
I'll step forward as the person she at least recognizes. So
We'll
what,
walk up next to him.
what's manner of events are you talking about?
Well, as you may or may not be familiar, the a good hammer / hammer good. It's not clear by his paperwork which is his name. Homestead was set ablaze last night. And the unfortunate man seems to have appeared to have been immolated in his own bed. On top of that, there seems to have been a problem with a local shop that I believe our inspector, Jim Biggins, approached that gentleman, looking over at the coyote, and looking over at Trapper, about, as well as there...
Am I in coyote form?
You were, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, you were back in coyote form. That gentleman about, and he was supposed to come back for the briefing, but the constable said that it was just a big misunderstanding, which is a bit strange, but, you know, we have to trust our law enforcement here. And lastly, there certainly was some hired work that you did for a carnival, which have nothing but positive things to say about you. But it also seems like you were resistant, perhaps, to doing some paperwork. We know that there was a conflict with some hired men by Mr. Goodhammer, allegedly, and as well as some of the lawless clan earlier the day before were hired in, but none of the paperwork was filled out. So we just want to clear some things up, and we just see you coming back from the Kenku camp, which we were informed. We were informed that you approached, and we're curious about what your interest was in all of this. So lots of things. Perhaps we want to go back to the Magister's residence and office to discuss these matters in a more private fashion.
I think private sounds good.
At this point, you all have probably noticed that the Magister himself has said nothing. He has looked at you, he's standing at you, he's dressed very smartly, and he said no words.
Is he literally right there too, or is he like a couple feet back, just standing there looking forward?
He's like 3-4 foot back and like 3-4 foot behind, or like beside,
and 3-4 feet tall.
And 3-4 feet tall. He keeps it symmetrical. He's at a.
And he has 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, exactly. He's got 3 or 4 feet, and he eats fruit by the foot, which is between 3 to 4 feet long. So there you go.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Milish. We're very busy today. Is there any way we could slide this tomorrow or maybe Thursday?
I got this.
Okay.
Stroking his handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
It's a Fu Manchu.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm gonna step forward.
Just the mullet of handlebar mustaches.
very reverently, and I'm gonna look the Magister in the eye, and I'm going to say, "We have done nothing wrong." And then I'm gonna step back, confident.
Roll persuasion, I guess. You're not 100%.
I don't think deception. I feel like Krav wouldn't say that unless he believed it.
Yeah.
Do I detect that they have any sort of sinister intent with us?
Insight. Oh, wait. Are you talking about like a natural ability you have, or just generally?
Just generally, do I sense that they are hostile towards us?
Are they giving any signs?
Yeah, Barry, and then anyone else who wants to roll can roll insight on their like sort of intent or perception on sort of like their overall demeanor, whichever one you want to choose. Also, Skitaki, can you please roll persuasion as well?
I rolled
17 insight.
I rolled an 18 for my persuasion check, Game Mummy.
You want persuasion or insight?
For you, Skitaki, persuasion. This is to persuade Miss Tanvish that we don't need to do this right now.
18.
So I have a 21 on perception.
I got a 24.
24 on perception or insight for Star.
Perception also.
Okay. So
Can I help with persuasion?
you don't. No, I'm gonna play that because there was a double persuasion already.
Okay.
But I will say that your insight. So for the perception rolls, Barry and Star both rolled over a 20, under a 25. So you both can understand that it doesn't look. Even though he's looking right at you, it doesn't really look very much like there's a lot going on behind the old eyes on the Magister. He just sort of seems to be easily distracted. He looks over at a bug that's crawling on his shoe and dusts it off. He looks over, other than when Krav was directly addressing him, he doesn't seem like he's that interested in the conversation at all. And that changes when Krav approaches him. You can see that at first there's a moment with an over 20 for both of you. Both of you catch that there is a moment of trepidation, followed by a reddening of the neck and a bit around the face that might come across as anger or frustration. And then for the insight roll of
That was the Magister or their assistant?
that was the Magister. For the insight roll, and then everyone else's perception on this, but mostly the insight. Tanvish is being very direct and very politic. You can see that every action and physical movement in them is deliberate. It is this is a woman that is very on point to present a character of calm, business-like neutrality.
So impossible to read.
Almost impossible to read. But what they definitely don't show is they don't show a sense of lying. They do show a confidence and an expectation that you're going to come with them. When we'll do Skitaki and then Krav. When Krav recommends doing it tomorrow, if you will, rather than today.
Skitaki recommended.
Or
that, yeah.
Skitaki. When Skitaki says doing it tomorrow rather than today, Skitaki, you would, since you're making eye contact during conversation, notice this, and we'll say that Barry catches this too pretty quickly. Both of you get a sense of like tension and jaw clench. Barry, you notice a bit of sweat beginning to form. And then Star, you would notice that there's like a squaring up of the body. And then Krav, on your conversation where you step up, you talk directly to the Magister and step back and everything. On your conversation moment, on your persuasion, they look at you very calmly and they simply say, it's important for me that we handle this today, lest rumors fly about tomorrow. So, I don't know if you've done anything wrong, and I don't know if there's anything for you to be concerned about, or why you would approach me with we've done nothing bad or we've done nothing wrong. But
we actually have a pretty extensive task ahead of us that we really need to make sure that we're putting a lot of focus into. And we're a little weary of unnecessary detours from that task.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Your goons back there attacked us about a half an hour ago. That's what we were chatting with them about. We come to an agreement now but we have no confirmation that it wasn't your doing, the person on whose payroll they are, that told them to do it. So forgive us if we're a little trepidatious.
Miss Tanvish calms herself and she looks directly at Skataki. She nods to Trapper, but she looks directly at Skataki and then kind of glances back at Star and then glances back at Skataki. And again, they're all looking up at all of you.
I'm also literally standing, like, almost touching Skataki. Like, I purposefully put myself right in front of Skataki in case I had to interrupt him to lie.
I think Barry is actually just being really aloof, like barely even actually like looking like he's paying attention to what's happening.
And
so
Barry's
mommy
studying.
See, just so I am
he also
clear,
just doesn't have a regard for authority figures.
Did she turn away and not respond to what I said at all?
she nodded to you. She acknowledged that you were speaking to her and made eye contact while that was happening. And then while talking with Skataki, she keeps glancing at Star, but didn't like do the same sort of nod gesture to Star for a reason. And then Dandy, you had a question.
Yeah, so it's the Magister, and then it's what's her name?
Miss Tanvish, yeah.
Miss Tanvish. They're the only two here.
Yeah, they're the only two here. There's the person that was driving the carriage, and they're still sitting at the carriage.
I cast detect magic.
I'm gonna step forward to Miss Tanvish.
Why don't we just actually cut to the chase here and have this conversation, or we can sit here piddle paddling all day long?
Hold on. I heard a detect magic, and I heard a step forward to Miss Tanvish. I'll let those, and then I'll acknowledge what Barry says as well. Who's casting detect magic?
Trapper.
All right, you cast detect magic. Detect magic. Trapper, also roll a perception roll.
Oh, nat 19.
All right, so you don't detect anything coming off the carriage, off of the Magister,
23 total,
or off of Tanvish. You do, however, detect something now specifically coming off of you that is a little bit foreign and very, very subtle. The whip that you had attained in the weapon shop that, just seemed like a normal whip at the time. You definitely are detecting something where the nature of the magic spell is like there's a illusory magic layer, but you finally are able to detect against a cursed layer. And so your whip has something about it. You haven't wielded it yet, so nothing's happened, but you do have one on you, and you can
glad
tell
I forgot about that.
Something on that whip.
It's been cursed, and someone tried to cover up the curse.
Yeah, essentially. That's
okay.
That's what you're picking up.
Well, shit.
All right. Then it's Krav approaching, as well as and then Barry's statement. So Krav, you approach, and what do you say, Krav?
Okay, I'm gonna lean in to a Miss Tanvish and the Magister, if he can hear me, and I'm gonna say real quietly, look, I think we all know what's going on here. This group, and I'm going to gesture toward these 6 monsters.
Bad Dickie's up.
I'm gonna go. I think we all know what's going on here. You look at us, and we don't look a whole lot like the people of your town. And you're accusing us of violence? I don't think that's a very good look.
Especially for someone concerned about rumors.
Okay, so you say that, and while she is reacting that, Barry, I think you said something like, how about we just get to the talking thing, right? Like, let's just talk.
How about we
about
stop beating around the bush and wasting everyone's time and cut to the chase? Because you should say we have things to get done. Yes, we have things to get done, but if we spin around here talking about this all damn day, we're going to waste that time anyway. So let's cut to the chase.
Okay. Look, I can see that how you would think he's violent, but the rest of us.
So
Krav, please. Please.
Barry looks genuinely offended. It's like, me? Oh, I'm wounded. I thought we were pals.
I know,
Well,
but
you
look
feel
at you.
pretty
I mean, I know, but look at you.
You can
Barry just looks genuinely hurt.
You're beginning to see
you've actually wounded him.
you're beginning to see a small vein appear on Miss Tanvish's forehead, and she.
I rub Barry's back a little.
She as Trapir soothes Barry a little bit. And she rolls her temple. She looks over at Skataki, who had asked for tomorrow, and it's like, all right, how about this evening, after you've dealt with what you need to do for the day and the evening, maybe tonight around sunset, a little after sunset, come to the Magister's office and quarters, and we will have this discussion in private. It is not for public, though. I do appreciate you, sir, and looking at Barry, wanting to address it. Address this, and I am sure, looking over at Krav, that the rumors that we've heard or the reports are not accurate to the events or not complete to explain the events that have happened. So tonight, you can come back or you can come over to that location. We can have a nice civil discussion. We'll make sure to have some booze, some finger foods later in the evening. Does that sound amenable? And then looks back at Skataki.
So I'm gonna glance around and visibly shrug, like, this is the end of Skataki's plan. I don't know what to do with this.
And I'd like to assume that this is all going to be also relevant to events that are coming as well.
Yes.
I'm giving her a
relevant.
let me know you know what I'm saying look.
She just nods, and she looks at Star, but she doesn't make eye contact with Star, and she's like, yes.
I haven't broken it since I first noticed.
Very
that.
relevant.
That's what I want to know, because that means that we're not going to be completely wasting our times chasing rumor mills.
If you're discussing about the 2 full moons event, I think we're on the same page.
347, second paragraph from the bottom. We'll see you later.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. I was describing a page. It was a joke, hon.
That's a really good. And she starts laughing. And then she walks back for a moment. Walks past the Magister. The Magister is like picking something out of his teeth for a bit, and then she walks back to the Magister, taps him on the shoulder, and then he nods and hops back in step with her, and they take their wagon cart and or their carriage basically, and they wheel around and move back toward the kind of the Magister's office, and then like the provided living housing for the sitting Magister at any given time that Waterswealth has, so they get to live and work from home just like real life.
Trapir hears a voice in his head. It's Patience. She says, "Don't drink the booze."
As this is happening,
he didn't detect any illusionary magic on them.
Yeah,
so they weren't in disguise.
Yeah, as this is happening, a bookish, bespectacled person kind of runs up to Patience out of nowhere, panting, and just quietly like approaches her, nods to everyone, like waves at everyone, but is clearly there for Patience. They're holding a couple books and some papers in each arm, sort of free and sloppily arranged, and this little diminutive young person just sort of looks and in their panting breaths just says, "Miss Patience, It's your parents. They need to talk to you extremely soon at the university. Please come back to the university. They said that they need to speak with you in private about a family matter. Please come back. Come back right now. And Patience just sort of awkwardly looks at everyone around her and then looks back to the person and is just like,
Go on, take care of your family business.
Is this? Yeah. I'll meet up. I'll reach out to Skataki. I'll find the rest of you later. And just rushes off with the students so that I don't have to NPC her. And so Patience leaves off with that student back to the university, beelines it, and there the rest of you are. The 5 of you and Bad Dickie and Bobby are just sort of chilling.
So what was that fellow we need to go look up? I heard it wasn't the same guy who you blew up that house, Trapper?
Sorry, I was spilling a bag of nori. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, it was like Lorelei McBean. I forget what the hell his name was.
Choosy citrus?
We need to go find the guy whose house you blew up. So maybe you best,
Oh,
when we
shit.
find out where he's at, you should probably wait outside.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I snapped my fingers in disguise self, and I'm just Trapper, but in a suit.
Leslie Manila. I can forget the guy's name.
His name is the very obvious Lisley Clanthian. Come on.
There you go.
Liz Lay. Is
Let me
that
make
like
note.
a hyphenated first name, Liz Lay?
That is one name, no hyphens. Lisley
Liz
Clanthian.
Lay.
Oh, I was assuming an
L-I-Z-L-A-Y?
apostrophe.
No, you would think that, but no. Lisley Clanthian.
Elven names.
Lisleyclantheon. Lisley Clanthian.
Gotcha.
Wait, I only got like
Redneck
half
elf.
that. Could you spell it again?
Yeah, sure. I'll do it if you want to test me. Lisleyclantheon. Lisley Clanthian.
What came after the L?
Which L?
Yes.
A vowel.
Stop it.
So we're on our way to find. Do we know where to find Leslie Clanthian?
The only one that might know is.
I mean, look for the blue tree, I guess.
The only one that might know is that Skataki might know whereabouts Lisley Clanthian would live. If you roll history, Skataki, you might be able to skip some NPC interactions if you happen to know.
Is history a skill? 8.
8. No, you do not know where Lisley Clanthian lives specifically.
So, I have a question. Do we want to go tell the constable about what happened with those Kenku? Or are we going to leave that in the dark?
I figure we're going to leave them in the dark if we're already working with them.
Because
we're
we can
playing
also
multiple
use
angles,
them as a resource to help us find Lisley right now. And if we go talk to him, he's absolutely going to ask us what the hell happened to both the church and the
we're
farm.
going to have to tell him something.
And
well,
I'm sure people are probably talking about whatever happened. Did you guys tell me about what happened at the church?
There were people in there, weren't there?
Yeah.
Oh,
there were
the
people.
church.
There were witnesses.
You were saying the church, I was thinking the barn.
There's so many infractions and violent altercations around Waters.
So we talked to them before they heard about the church and before they heard about...
You guys were sent to the church by the
By the
constable.
cops.
Jim Biggins.
Yeah,
No,
I'm sorry, I thought you
should
were...
definitely talk to Jim.
And you guys
thought-
went and freaking shot a bunch of Kenku. And then we went to the farm by his orders and also found Kenku.
Yeah. Wait, I actually just remembered something. Why are we looking for Leslie Clanthian?
Because he is a researcher on dimensional studies, and he can help us figure out how to thwart the summoning.
The caster that's powerful
So,
enough.
but
That the
I
king
thought
can
we
track.
already had a plan, and we already have an expert who's behind us.
Bad Dickie is like, I am absolutely well studied in plane magic, and I am more than happy to help you out with this and not involve anyone else that we need to split the cut with.
Yeah.
Does
I'm
that
confused
dude
how
fucking
that
hates me.
happened.
What?
I thought we were looking for.
I think
someone
that was
else who could tell us
suggested
the
to us
specific
by
magic.
somebody who didn't know who the dwarf standing behind us was.
Yeah, that was the head of Kanku, because that was
Yeah.
their caster they were trying to get. But
They
didn't have.
knew who he was. They knew. Remember, they called him out right in front of
to
us.
be clear, the commander of the
you're
Kenku
right.
Oh, yeah.
did know that Bad Dickie was Good Hammer. He played that
You're
he
right.
didn't initially recognize him, but he did actually know and revealed that fact. And he recommended he only recommended it because that was the person, because Good Hammer wouldn't work with him.
Okay.
And so
So that's just
the
his
other
guy.
wizard that he knew in town that might have information on that was Liz. He couldn't quite recall his name, but with a little history help from Patience, I believe, he was like, yeah, Lisley Clanthian. And so that was who the Kenku were going to involve in this situation, for their purposes.
Right.
So we're good.
And they may still try to do it.
So, Bad Dog, what's our checklist right now?
Long rest.
Well, I mean, we got a couple days. We're gonna be doing a long rest anyway. So, in my opinion,
Oh, I thought I was bad dog. Sorry.
I'm over here not hurt at all.
Oh, no.
Like, rest.
I'm not. I wasn't going as far to get to the other nickname. Just makes me think of shitty white rappers.
So if it were up to me, I think the things that we need to do is that I may or may not quite have the process for shifting this thing down pat. So I was mostly going to spend my time reading it. I really wanted to just work with someone that already knew how to do it. But yeah, I can absolutely figure. I mean, I'm from the Fey realm, you're right. Like, I know how to shift between planes. This is a little harder because it's a reroute ritual, and I got to do it kind of under the nose of this Skeeter guy. So, I still definitely have some, but I'm very confident that I can figure it out. Sure.
Should we be looking for the racist elf or not? Because you just gave me two different answers in 2 minutes.
Roll insight. Anyone who wants to roll insight on Bad Dickie?
Yeah, I'm also trying to figure this out.
Oh yeah.
Right there. I knew that too.
11.
Yeah, 19.
20.
Who got a 20?
I did.
I'm sorry. It's Skataki. All white people sound the same to me.
God damn it.
Skataki. Okay, so since Skataki gets the highest insight, Skataki gets the win. Star, you're instinctually being like, well, that was two not exactly the same answers. Those answers seem to split up a little bit. Skataki, you are 100% confident that Bad Dickie is not at all sure that they can pull this off. And you kind of put together, we'll say that the reason is you put together, if Goodhammer blows this, Goodhammer just would have left, right? He's a Fae. Like, he was trying to make deals and advance himself in this thing, but it was pretty clear that he was like, well, if this is too much of a trouble, if you go back to his journal readings that you guys went, then he'd just bounce, right? Not a big enough deal. So whereas he may be able to do it, he is not sure he's able to do it. And one thing that you do recall about Lisley Clanthian and why he had opened the bauble shop is that he had a very good method of enchantment and ensorcelment and ritual casting that no one else in all of Water's Wealth had. So he's very good at procedural object power imbuement, and process over time, and like kind of that methodology magic that requires to make magical items and find them and modify them, decurse them. So so that's that. So Lisley Clanthian is the more guaranteed option of someone who would just be like, yeah, I know how to do that. I can do that for you, versus Bad Dickie, who's more like, maybe he'll get it done, or maybe he'll fail.
No, my confidence just dropped through the floor in that exchange. So what if we've got to figure out exactly what our stories are going to be, and we can do that on the way. What if we go and meet up with the constable? We go meet up with Jim, and then we try as soon as we can when we get there to figure out a lead on where we can find the redneck elf, and then we can go from there. Depending on how long we get hung up with
Sounds
the
good.
sheriff,
Let's get
maybe
to
we
it.
can send
Is
just a
he
couple
not-
folks out.
Is he not going to be at his store?
You're kidding,
Honey,
right?
you were there.
You can
What store?
glance at the tree that is in the place of the store on your way to the constables. It is mechanically.
I'm not sure how helpful
geographically-
this dude who can't move a tree is going to be in moving our giant monster worm.
Yeah.
Well, it's less of moving than it is of preventing. And there could even be a possibility that the way the tree came into that space might make it slightly more obnoxious to move it. And
Holy
then
shit.
potentially the most important piece to that would be that moving the tree is a very small part of the work that needs to be done.
Moving. Okay. We need to go find Litet Clanthian
Yeah.
Yes.
because that tree was created by the same dude who's going to try and summon this worm.
Exactly.
And that tree could be a good source of investigation, especially with someone who knows this shit. Fuck. Do I need to be something else the whole time we're hanging out?
That's not a
Wait,
bad
What are we
idea.
waiting for? Let's get to it. Let's go meet the
Okay.
constable and then go
Hold,
find
hold,
Liz.
hold on just a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Barry. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Okay. Barry is impatient. He's walking off
Yeah,
towards the constable.
The
That's
constable's
going
not
with
going to be
Barry.
there till sunset, right?
No, that's the
magistrate.
That's the magistrate.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm shoulders with Barry. I'm
Yeah.
with that.
what's Skataki? What was Skataki going to offer? Just because I'm curious as the DM.
So Trapper, you said you had 2 more of those, right? Of those
Yeah,
aprons?
we're all walking together. Did I get 3?
Yeah, you got
I think I
3.
got 3.
You got 3,
Yes.
so there's 2 more.
Yeah, I got 2 more.
So if we're right, and that's somehow a tie-in, we can use that to our strategic advantage. We can plant them where we need to, and maybe this time without almost choking you to death in the process.
Yeah, well, I'm saving one of them for something. But yeah, I'm down.
I don't
chip
need to
one
know
of
about
these.
that.
I appreciate it.
So walking toward that, I'm not going to make you roll. Walking toward that, you see in the space that is the tree now and not a shop.
Make Skataki roll for insight to see if he knows what I'm going to do with it.
All right, Skataki.
I know what Greg thinks you're going to do with it. No, Skataki thinks what Greg thinks. Just be careful. You've got to be careful about it. You got to make sure that the angle is right and that somebody can pluck it out right away if it goes wrong. Because you don't, and if it grows a branch in the process, I mean, you have to think it through, son. That's all I'm saying.
And Trapper
Need
thinking
to get
that
a real serious
Skataki,
arc going and stand back a little bit.
Trapper thinking Skataki might know what he's talking about, but he doesn't. Says, "Well, I mean, I was kind of hoping for a branch. Figured it might help, push things over the side a bit. But all right,
Arr.
yeah. we're walking.
My
We're all
species
walking
are built
together. at this
very
point.
differently.
So you're not gonna have to roll for it. He's not at the tree that is where his shop was. And everything. You don't see Litet Clanthian on the way to the constables.
But we do need to figure out our story while we're walking.
Yeah,
What are
yeah,
we telling
so-
them
Yeah, I
regarding
need to disguise as something
2
too.
missions they sent us on? We can't move very far on the church if we're trying to spin anything.
Well, I think we don't really have much to spin. We went there to investigate as ordered and encountered disguised Kenku.
Cool.
Yeah, the
that's,
church.
that's
Yeah,
about it. And that not only were they disguised, but they've been impersonating people in the town and
Yeah.
have been kidnapping them and tying them up.
Yeah.
Now we can leave out what happened with good Dickie or bad Dickie here.
Yeah.
We don't need to mention that we found him.
I appreciate you using my new name.
In fact,
Mad Dog.
since you don't want to be involved with Litet, it might be best if you went back to the university and did some more research with Bobby.
So he Bad Dickie thinks about it for a bit, and he's like, "Yeah, I can do some research. I didn't like that Liz Lake Clanthine guy anyway, so I'm Bobby. You want to make it beat feet toward the university, and
wait, I thought the two of them were going to work together.
No.
Okay.
Bad Dickie had no intentions of pulling in Liz Lake Clanthine on anything if he could avoid it. So Bobby nods and then looks over at Barry as they walk by, and he's like, "Thanks, mister. One less voice for the DM to do." And then and they both walk off to the university. So now it is just you five, and no more NPC hangers on. So you're moving toward the station house. You have not arrived there yet until you all agree, kind of like, I know Barry pitched a pretty good story, like pretty good statement of honest facts. Is there anything else you want to discuss before you get to the station house?
Is there anything we should be excluding from what we tell them? We don't have to lie. We just have to leave things out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I might shift into like an elf or something. What? This dude's an elf?
Oh, Lisley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we're not going to Lisley yet, and I don't think your wild shape can just change into people. You have to.
No, I can disguise self at will as Furbolg magic.
Okay. Well, just be aware that if he's a magical person, he'll probably see right through it.
It might be better to make yourself something small, like just like wild shape into some sort of recon. What's that?
I would just say keep out of sight, because if he sees through you, it's going to be end of any conversations we have. If the guy who blew up his house shows up, it's probably not a great idea. You can keep close by in case he threatens us like he threatened you.
Yeah, let me.
So I'm thinking the classic like freaking beetle form Trapir, like sitting in someone's pocket or something.
Well, so
like I don't think he's gonna be like scanning the party if we run into him. But I feel like a very easily concealed Trapir.
Well,
is
so
the best way to keep
disguise self is only illusory magic. It doesn't hold up to physical inspection. So
right, that's why I was saying wild shape makes more sense.
Disguise self.
Disguise self is too easy to detect for a veteran magician if he gets any reason to think he needs to.
Wait, is wild shape a separate thing?
Yeah.
Wild shape is a unique ability for the druid.
Yeah.
Disguise self is just a regular spell that many different classes can cast.
I think it's under actions. Okay, not under spells.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I only had combat wild shape. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm into that.
So get tiny.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
I've got mad pouches. You can jump right into my.
I'd say, all right, well, we're gonna have to do this to like teamwork. I'm gonna count to 3 because I'm gonna jump and shift in the air and land in your hand. All right, because I'm turning into a motherfucking roly-poly bitch. Whoop.
All right.
Hold on.
Cannonball.
Barry actually has a thing in his story that he loves bugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
all right.
If you turn into a roly-poly, I'm going to be like, oh,
hold
awesome.
on. I want Barry and Star to roll a dex check and see which one scoops.
Can I do acrobatics?
Okay.
Yeah, acrobatics.
Not acrobatics, athletics.
Acrobatics?
Yeah, acrobatics for Star, athletics.
I got a
for
+7 on acrobatics.
Yeah.
I have a +6 on athletics.
Go for it. Roll, and we'll see which one of you gets the honor of scooping roly-poly.
Do I need to roll for my jump?
I rolled.
No.
What did you get, Star?
What'd you get? Oh, shit, I gotta do the math still, sorry. Yeah, I only got a 13.
I got a 19.
Oh,
nice.
So Trapir.
That's fine, because Barry was excited. I just was one that
Trapir's
do
like,
this.
I'm gonna do this, and then
Barry bolts forward, pushes me aside, and very gently catches this roly-poly.
I was like, "Oh, cool, Trapir, that's awesome! I didn't know you could turn into little bugs."
You do love bugs.
Yeah, I unroll and I'm like, and I roll back up.
All right. So now there's the 4 of you. with a tiny roly-poly trapper being held or being carted by Barry.
I put you into one of my belt pouches.
Is there anything else that you all are excluding from the story when you get to the constable? That was the discussion.
We're not going to mention anything about. We're not going to mention anything about Goodhammer. He did,
right.
As far as we know, the only thing we found in that basement was the Catsby's.
One more thing, though. What about the deal with the Kenku when we followed them back?
I think we could leave that out.
Now, if we leave that out, does that mean there might be a chance that there could be a conflict between police in this town and the Kenku that could get in the way of what we're about to do?
Well, I think it might be actually a good idea to make it so that the Kenku are distracted by the police, because clearly they have
ulterior motives. We don't know if we can trust them. I'm with that 100%. So yeah, that's we go that whole way there, and that's all we've got.
Okay. I'm gonna put you. You're at the station house. Normal day at the station house. Couple of the constables nod to you all because they've seen you now a couple times. They've seen you in different forms. One of them says hi by name to Skataki because he knows him from around town and everything. And it's just a normal day. I'm gonna say Skataki and Krav, assuming all of you go in. Skataki and Krav, roll a perception check, both of you.
14.
3.
All right. Krav, nothing so menacing, but there's like something itching at the back of your mind about what, or Skataki. There's something itching at the back of your mind that something is like a little off when you go in there, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You can't quite put your thoughts on it. A lot of balls in the air right now, so you don't really know, or you're
quite put your balls.
I can't wait till tonight.
Yeah, a lot of balls in the air. Skataki, that's what you think. Krav, you don't notice anything. You notice that there's no bowls of raw meat in this entire
son, damn
station. There's a bunch of sandwiches, and they look like they need a fridge, but that's not something the station house has. They don't have an ice box, and so you can smell.
I'll pick one up and sniff it.
Yeah,
I like sandwiches.
The sandwiches are edible, but not good. They're like they're like tuna salad sandwiches, but for some reason there's raisins in
Hold on. I stop everyone and I go, hold on a moment. Before we talk to them, I want to pull them aside for a second.
Yeah.
I say to them, what if the constable's one of them and he sent us there to get ambushed?
You know, that actually tracks.
I love how little you trust anything, and that makes me happy as a DM. I've betrayed you over and over again. Enough times that like Barry's like, hold on. Could this guy be one? Could this guy be one? And the answer is very maybe. Very maybe. Yeah. That is.
I mean, also, despite being so gentle and friendly, Barry has obviously been burned in his life.
Does Barry remember that Trapir very recently cast Detect Magic?
Is it still active?
Yes.
How long is it active for?
10 minutes. And we walk straight there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's active enough for that. Cool. You don't detect any significant magic, Trapir, in this place. There's no particularly high magic. Yeah, you detect some minor abjurative magic. I think that's what it is. Whatever anti-poison or healing kind of magic is in the area, but nothing of any kind of note that would
no shifting or illusory magic.
Yeah, no, none of that. Not in the station house.
So,
Did I hear him? Did I know that he casted detect magic earlier?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
I think.
so I'm gonna pull out the portfolio. I'm like once for you detect something, twice for not detecting anything.
Can I look over? There you go.
Okay.
Roll back here.
Put them back in my pocket.
It's good Foley work, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay, we're in the clear.
So if you all are looking for specifically to speak with Inspector Jim Biggins, he is there at a desk filling out some paperwork. As you notice, many of them are filling out egregious quantities of paperwork.
Okay. Barry, did you want me to take the lead on this one?
I mean,
have some.
I'm definitely not one with the silver tongue in this party, if you know what I mean.
No, I just wanted to make sure first. Jim,
I got your back.
Jim looks up and Jim looks up with like a half smile.
Big Jim.
He recognizes the four of you, and he's like, "Oh," and he waves you over as he gets up and starts walking to like one of the like regular kind of non-doored offices. So it's just a offside room that has an entryway, but there's no like door or anything attached to it. It's not like an interrogation room or a cell. And waves you over to that. Waves all of you over to come with him. If any of you eat any of those sandwiches that were on like we'll call it the craft table, the food table, that's there in the station house, they are disgusting. They have raisins in them, but they're tuna salad. It doesn't make any sense. I'm
gonna make a face and wince and just mutter under my breath, "Human."
You take one psychic damage, Krav, for having to resolve raisins in a tuna salad. To be clear, I like raisins, but
I'm gonna obsess about this for the rest of the game.
Don't worry, it's not gonna be the last time raisins appear in something they shouldn't in this campaign.
Yeah.
To be clear,
who puts raisins in tuna salad?
Officer Karen.
Do all of you go into the room? Do only some of you go into the room and others just sort of hang out? Like what's happening?
I go in.
I'm going in as well.
Yeah, and then obviously Star's in, and so unless Krav hangs outside.
No, I'm going in, but I'm ranting about the raisins in the salad.
I
mean, it's no bowl of meat, but raisins in the salad. I just don't understand it.
And he's like, and he looks around. You get a mix of agreement and dirty looks. It seems like raisins and tuna salad is very split. It's a very contentious split here at the.
Somebody needs to answer for this.
Rob, I've heard that humans believe that since it all comes out one way, it should all go in the same way. That it's all at the same time.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Where does it come out for humans?
Anyway,
they have this weird little thing.
Well, okay.
Jim,
you two are discussing the matters of let's get to business.
The lower digestion.
Jim, if you have a moment, we actually have a favor to ask of you.
Yeah, I got favor. Sure, I got favors. I got time. What can I do you for?
Perfect. We actually need to get a hold of Leslie Clanthian. And you had brought him up before when we were speaking with him. I thought maybe you could help us just point us in the direction. Let us know where we could find him.
Leslie Clanthian, he's northwest of the station house here. Kind of in the direction. Is there a map in the room? Well, there's a map on the chair. He's northwest of the station house here. Just a little bit. Up by the university, up top there. There's like a little white thatched roof. It's kind of a house and kind of a tent. It looks like it was supposed to be like a temporary marketplace that he converted into a home. And it's right there on the spring there. It's real nice. He bought that.
Skitaki, is that familiar?
Skataki
Is
would
that-
know what he's talking about. Skataki would I know exactly the location. He just would have never known that it was Liz Lake Clantine's house.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just making sure that makes sense to him. Like direction wise.
Yeah.
I've been in this town for a day.
Hey, like a day and a half.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a class. My wanderer feature lets me know the layouts of any place that I've spent enough. Like,
Yep.
you know, it says you have an excellent memory for maps and geography, and you can always recall the layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around you. So
Type.
But
We
yeah.
Good at
probably
reading
saw it at
maps,
some
but I
point.
grew up always having them on me.
Nonetheless, he's like, yeah, that's where he's at. So, how did the investigation go? Did y'all find what you needed to find? We heard that there was some commotion over at the cathedral. I've already got people coming in, so apparently there was a tuss-up of some sort there.
I think we've actually got it all cleared out. I think everything's fine at the moment.
we talked about this when Krav and you and I went to the barn. We were attacked by Kenku, who had disguised themselves as the Catspies.
Yeah. Oh goodness, Kanku in the Catsby farm. What were
They had abducted the Catspies and tied them up in the basement.
He immediately
And tortured
starts
them.
scribbling notes down about it, and then he looks over at Skataki and it's like, so those three were over at the Catsby farm. I believe someone said a bugbear was at the cathedral, so I assume that was you, since you're the only bugbear I know that shoots a nice long iron like that.
She likes you.
Yeah, they have basically the same thing. Everything's we've got them cleared out of both locations, and they're stabilized now. They're no longer a threat.
Looks like we lost Skataki.
Yeah, I think we lost Skataki.
Oh, I'm back. My Skype keeps crashing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He looks so he goes he keeps writing his notes down and is like, neutralize the threat. So you killed all of them.
Well, we at the farm we killed every single one that attacked us
We saved the Catspies.
and rescued. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cat's back up, and the folks
I'm gonna
that were in the
give,
church are no longer in
I'm gonna
danger.
give Barry a high five.
I think the really
Yeah.
fun thing that's worth focusing on
Yeah.
is that we didn't go to either of these places and find Kenku. We went to these places and found that the people who were there were Kenku.
And so
One might say the Kanku.
So we know that
found
they were
us.
neutralized. We don't know if there may be some at other locations in the town.
Game Mommy, can I interrupt at that moment?
yeah.
Because it's dramatically appropriate. So Skataki's a hunter. He spends his entire life tracking, paying attention to signs, and the raisins in the tuna fish has been bothering him the whole time. And now with Jim not being quite as with it as Skataki feels he should be, I want to do some form of investigation, whether it's by scent or by inspection, to see if I think he's Kenku.
Okay.
But I don't know what you want me to roll.
Roll I guess either investigate or insight, or if you want, if it makes more sense for your character, like survival, I guess, because of your abilities, with advantage, whatever the highest one is, with advantage.
21.
You are 100% sure that he is not Kenku, but I will give you this with a 21. You can smell frustration on him. You can feel his unease. It's like you can it changed the pitch of his sweat scent a little bit. So you smell that. This would also be something Trapir would pick up on, or Barry potentially, depending on how close he was to him. But Trapir is currently a little bug. So you smell that. So you know he's not a Kenku.
Crustacean.
But he's acting real like flat about this, real calm about this, and he keeps looking back at Star. Well, Star is kind of relaying this information. He's writing the notes down. He's like, multiple people could be Kenku. Caspies were Kenku. Who was Kenku in the cathedral? Is everything okay? Is Molly okay?
So it turns out that a lot of people were Kenku, and I can't remember. Is Molly okay? Did we find Molly?
Molly's away on a trip.
Molly's away on a trip.
Molly's out of town.
So we found the good news is that the real Molly's away and safe. The bad news is there's a lot of corpses up at the church, like a lot of them.
And he puts his head in his hands, and he's just like, all right.
We were attacked by 6 Kenku at the.
It was literally all self-defense.
Well,
actually, it wasn't 6. How many was it?
No, it was 6 for you guys.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how many we let go.
It was 4, 2 that you let go, so it was technically 4. But he's not really thinking about that right now. He's kind of stuck on the idea that other people could be Kenku.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. Obviously, we're gonna look into this. Like, we believe you on being I'm sure there were people there that were running out screaming when the fighting started. But if I'm gonna find Kenku bodies, then that answers that. I don't have any question about that. I remember the carnival barker. He was yelling that his stuff was taken and everything. And we looked into that, and some of my boys floated out the idea that the Kenku could be doing it. But I was like, no, the Kenku aren't allowed inside of Water's Wealth. That's why they had to set out the camp and aren't occupying most of the rooms in the inn, which was which seemed to be enough. But apparently I'm going to have some conversations with my various constables on patrol to see if they're noticing anything going about the town, because obviously Kenku are getting in here, replacing people, kidnapping people, or tying people up, torturing
Can you
them.
trust that all of your constables here? All of your men?
Well, no, they're out and about. Do
you know that you haven't been infiltrated by Kenku yourself?
He sits and he thinks. I'm rolling insight for him. He sits and he thinks. Well, I can't say for sure that we haven't, or that we haven't been infiltrated. But seeing as it's me and 2 other inspectors, and I'm confident that they are still them, at the very least, our ranks at our level are good. And so at least no one's given orders. But yes.
What about the magistrate?
You're talking about hold on. I don't think you've ever heard his name, because I had a name for him, but I can never find it. You talking about Calvin Maxwell?
How familiar are you with him and his staff?
Well, I mean, there's Miss Tanvish, and she's been assisting magistrates since, I don't know, as long as I've been around. She's been here.
Sure. So how familiar are you with her?
Oh, very, very. Everyone's familiar. That is the coldest statue of a woman I've ever met. But
and have you spent time there recently, like the last couple days?
Nope.
You haven't had any interaction with any of them?
He thinks about it, and he goes, "Nope. Can't honestly say that I have. I don't believe that I've had any sort of interaction with them over the past few days. I haven't had much reason to it. Usually we just send our reports over to the offices, and then they get filed away somewhere, like the summary reports that we send regularly.
Sure.
I don't have a lot of reason to interact with them that much, less I need to be there in some sort of official capacity. And then I prefer not to interact with the Magister directly. Like, we all loved Timmons. He was a solid guy, but this Maxwell Calvin guy, yeah, it's just better to talk to Tanvish.
Will you pardon me for just a moment? Krav, can you talk with me? I want to step out the door with Krav for a second.
I'm gonna hold my finger up and follow there.
Okay.
So you come outside and talk with me?
Yeah.
I say to him, like, do we want to divulge to him that what we think is going on with the Kenku camp and them trying to capture this creature? How much do we want to trust these guys?
Do you trust him?
I don't know. I think at the very least we could use him to disrupt what's going on with the Kenku.
I don't think they're in bed with the Kenku, and so I by divulging that information, I don't think we're losing anything.
I just want to bring it up to you. I'll leave that your call. Let's go back in there.
So back in the office. Jim Biggins is looking at Star and Skataki kind of between the two of them. And it's like, all right, so you found the Kenku, you dealt with the threat. No one thinks Aunt Molly's still in town. That's good. Caspies are all right. They were let go and everything. They're fine.
They have their household back.
They have their household back, so that's wonderful. I will write a note to appropriately write up commendations for all of you for this work. I was honestly just sending you there. Expecting you to find little or nothing about enemies of Goodhammer. Now we've got Kenku on that. I still don't know who burned down Goodhammer's place. God damn, Waterswealth. You're going to fucking hell in a handbasket. It's a handbasket that and with the 2 full moons coming up soon and that celebration, that's gonna be
celebration.
Oh yeah, this year we're doing a 2 full moon celebration per the Magister. He thinks for some reason, like normally it's, people go out and they sit and they stargaze and they look at the 2 full moons. Mm-hmm. It's a nice night, but we've never had like a party, but with the carnival in town and everything, he figured we could go super late and have like a big festival. Quartered off some budget of money we didn't have to spend on
this
it.
This is a really bad...
When was this suggested?
Oh, let me see if he knows. He's like, oh, it was suggested maybe, I don't know, like it was a real rush job. It was suggested maybe like earlier this week, like 5-6 days ago, like not that long ago. That's why we were all kind of shocked.
Game Mommy, you are making me paranoid as shit.
Yeah. What was the
hold on, Skataki?
Was the circus already in town, or did he come up with the idea after they got here?
The circus
or before they got here.
The circus was on the way, but they weren't in town yet. They came in town like a day or two later. And then started setting up. That took them about a day or so. So they've been operating for the past few days, but like they were on their way. Like we knew they were coming. We send riders out and everything, and we of course have communication with other smaller areas that they come to, and so we knew that they were probably going to hit this town. So I think he suggested it probably about when we would have, at least Miss Tanvish would have sussed out that they were coming into town at this time.
Yeah. So, were you saying that you send reports over to them daily?
Yeah, they get delivered by one of the constables daily. One of my more
administrative. Has it happened already today?
No, it has not. It usually goes over in the evening.
Okay. We've been supplying you with a few jail cell occupants recently. We have kind of recently come onto the information that maybe y'all need a little bit more from us in that regards. Is there any information we can give you now? Any questions we can answer so that you can get your paperwork filled out and send over to them? We don't have to stop in the street again.
Thinking about this a bit, and he's like, yeah, I do have a question. So you know that you got the Kenku and everything involved. Do you have any idea like what they were doing in town? Like I know, so cards on the table. I know why the Kenku are here. I know what's supposed to happen at the full moon. I've been told that's not going to be a problem anymore, and that situation has been dealt with. So I know that they need to be here through the full moon to make sure that nothing happens. But through the double full moon, make sure that nothing happens. But other than that,
So what are we talking about? You mean the festival? They have to be here for the festival?
He goes, no. At the double full moon, we're supposed to get. There's supposed to be an action from the larger lawless clan, and we don't have enough constables on our own to deal with that. And so he hired the Kenku. Hired the Kenku as a little bit of extra muscle. It's a typical mercenary job. You know, the lawless clan. There's like. If there's a dozen of them, there's 10 dozen of the motherfuckers. All they do is breed and steal. So yeah, that's what's coming in. And so that's what the Kanku.
So that was actually who I was asking about. I was asking about the lawless folks and the arsons from the barn.
Oh yeah.
You need information from us regarding them so that you can get your paperwork sent over today. Reports.
Well, we can't formally charge them unless paperwork is filled out by the witnesses there. If I try to process them to a judge, I've just been holding on to them. If I try to process them to a judge and the paperwork isn't T crossed and I dotted, they will absolutely they will absolutely walk. So if somebody could fill out the paperwork for them, it's a lot of forms, I know, but if somebody could fill it out, then I can put them over to the judge. Judge will do what the judge does, but that's all I need from that.
So where's the paperwork then?
He waves at one of the desk clerky constables, and they bring over a bunch of forms of paperwork. It's all pretty standard stuff. Write your statement, identify people by name if possible, and stuff like that. It's nothing too complicated or hinky. It's just normal.
Okay.
To use Nerd Girl's word, hinky.
I'll grab it real quick. I have a quill on me, I think.
Probably. There's things to write with in there too.
All right. So yeah, I've got pretty much specifically what went on, but very vague with no extraneous details outside of specific combat action and the bare minimum why we were there.
Yep. Okay. And so he lets you fill out that. He looks over at Krob, Barry, and Skitaki. Is there anything else y'all want to tell me before I get digging into this about your experiences with the Kenku or anything like that?
I think there's something you need to know about the Kenku.
All right. What's that?
When we were in the Kenku camp, we discovered through one of their underlings that the Kenku might be using a device to control an underdark monster worm.
He looks real confused for a bit, and he's like, y'all were in the Kenku camp, and then y'all found out about some sort of underdark worm they've got with them that they're controlling?
We just found that out.
He starts writing that down. He goes, God. And you can, Greg, Skitaki, roll a dexterity check. Not like athletics or acrobatics, just dex.
That is a whopping 6.
Okay, so you don't get
Greg rolling like Greg.
See, you can kind of see that this is about to happen reflexively, but you can't move fast enough to stop it. He gets up, he just stands up from his chair, wings around, grabs the back of his chair, and just hucks it at a wall, and it shatters at the wall, and he goes, "This motherfucker, goddamn cocksucking, oh my, and he just starts ranting. He's like, this fucking magister, every fucking time he gets recommendations from the city, he gets recommendations from the law on what is the proper goddamn procedure, and then he just goes off and doesn't anything, doesn't explain to us, doesn't explain how he's gonna fucking pay for it, god damn it, and he just starts ranting, and he's like,
Trapper pops his head out of the pouch.
Is that a roly-poly? Immediately. Are you carrying a roly-poly into this station house? It's adorable.
There are no roly-polies this
Hey,
far away from the
don't
water.
hate on the roly-poly. He's my friend.
I'm saying it's adorable, and it's calming me down. God damn it. Anyway, okay.
So it looks like
Jim,
you've been deceived a lot too.
Yeah.
So, Jim, I didn't know until right that moment that it was the proper thing to trust you. So I say this to you now with no evidence, but all respect. This is going to get a lot worse than you think. Whatever the fuck is going on, it's terrible, and nobody is being honest with you about it. So
Oddly enough, we've probably been more honest than anyone.
That's
We
correct.
did find one more link as well.
What? One more.
Something about this thing that's happening is relevant to that Skeeter guy as well.
And what? Wait. The necromancer
The
guy?
acorn guy.
Yeah. What's that?
That's pretty much the information that we have. That there's a connection between the acorn guy and the Kenku doing something with some sort of interdimensional beast.
Oh, that can't be good. God. Fuck me sideways.
We're developing a plan to work on it, and we're actually at least being honest with you compared to your leaders in the Kenku.
Well.
Yeah. This is why we need to reach Leslie Clanthian.
Okay.
We've been
also
trying to be careful with information, and I think probably that's obvious why by now.
Yeah, no, more than obvious. Oh, all right. I hear all of you, and I appreciate this information. So here's what you should do. You should go to Leslie Clanthian, because if they're doing anything with some sort of alternate plane beast, I understand why you might want to involve him. I don't know what that's all about. I'll write down what information you have from that. I've got what I have already from what we talked, but I'll get a couple more questions out of you on that. And then afterward, if I were you, it sounded like to me, if I, based off of your statements and kind of questions and whatnot, you asking about Miss Tanvish, are you suspecting that there might be some collusion or concern in regards to the Magister's office in this?
I wasn't when I asked the questions, but I definitely am after your answers.
Yeah, I am too. Okay, you need to go talk with Matthias. Matthias and Skataki, you know this person. Matthias was the Magister. For those of you, many of you haven't been in town for long other than Skataki.
Mm-hmm.
Matthias was the Magister before Maxwell was. And Matthias was the Magister for a solid 20 years. He's a good guy, good stock. Water's Wealth has only benefited from his time, but he retired after a good amount of service, both to Odai in general and then later specifically to Water's Wealth. And he is absolutely the one you need to talk to if you need to know about the inner workings or rumors about Maxwell Calvin and what he's up to, because Matthias hated that man. But he was the one, he only retired because he was voted out. So Matthias decided that he was just going to throw up his hands at the situation. If you tell him things like this are going to happen, I feel like he's not going to be quite as distant as he has been the last several years.
Skataki,
Jim,
you know where we'd find him?
Yes, Skataki knows where he is. We'll get to where he is when you move toward it.
No, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jim? Now, obviously, since we've really confided in you with a lot of this information, we may need you to not write everything we've told you in that report you send over to the magistrate this evening.
You know what? I think that there just might be a little delay in the report. I might just have a constable, maybe instead of go straight to deliver the report, he ends up in a tavern, drinks a little bit too much.
Well, we still want the other reports to get there.
He thinks
because then that'll get them off our backs.
He thinks about it and he's like, wait, they're on your backs?
Yeah, they came and met us personally.
We were stopped
before we came here.
Okay, I can do another report. I can do a limited report. Make it look like nothing strange or anomalous is going on. I can do that.
You can include these forms with that they asked for.
Yep. And he gathers up the forms for the processing. For you, Skataki, the reason that Matthias Timmons matter is because Matthias Timmons is a person that you on and off served with while you were in Odai's military. Krav never served with him. But like depending on the rank, he never got very high in rank. He was always a kind of a lower level, like first classman, but not like a full-fledged significant officership. And the reason is because he had always decided that he would rather be right in front, right in the shit every time. If anyone was going to die for something that he said or did, it was going to be him. He was one of those kind of guys, and he didn't like taking on the responsibility of any kind of potential life loss. He's a hobgoblin. He's a big guy, big barrel-chested, friendly, gregarious guy. Real calm demeanor, real like logical mentality of thinking, very even-handed. And so Matthias, as far as the history of Water's Wealth, only did good things for Water's Wealth. He retired a year or two after Skataki joined from the military, and then moved to being the mayor of Water's Wealth, which is where he was from. And so Matthias has absolutely just been nothing but a positive influence. He's the one who made sure that the orphanage was funded better. He made sure that the university stayed open. He's the one who made sure that like land was built and available. Very much a invest in our people. Our community needs to help each other out kind of guy. So yeah, he's just an all-around positive human being. And it was heartbreaking when he lost the election to Maxwell. But also, Matthias had been there for 20 years, and Maxwell was making bigger promises than him. And Matthias refused to play the political game of promising things he wasn't 100% sure he could deliver on. Versus Maxwell, who absolutely delivers on nothing that he promised. More typical politician.
Yeah.
And so that's what Skataki knows in regards to Matthias Timmons.
Cool.
Jim Biggins nods. He writes. He starts working on there, and he's like, "All right, y'all gonna head out to see maybe Liz like Lanthian and Matthias and everything, and get a beat on this. Maybe we connect up tomorrow morning or something like that. Sometime tomorrow to resettle before we get into the too close into the night of the two full moons."
Sorry, I missed that last part.
Basically, he's like, all right, we got the information we need.
Yeah.
Y'all should go out to Liz Lake Lanthian. You can choose to go out to Matthias if you want. I'm gonna talk to the other two inspectors who are now the only people I'm gonna talk to this about, and we are going to come up with a plan, and then we'll connect up with you tomorrow and see what your update is from your conversations with Liz Lake Lanthian and Matthias if you go talk to her.
Like, I'm glad we know we have someone in this town who isn't so full of shit. And I reach out to shake his hand.
He absolutely shakes it back. happily, and he's like, "Well, I'm full of shit sometimes, but not when it comes to my job or this town."
You know, I'm not usually a fan of lawmen, Jim, but you see, you're a pretty good guy.
I try to be, and yeah, that's reasonable. I didn't take this job for a popularity contest. That's for goddamn sure. And he nods to Star and Krav and Skataki. So unless you all have anything else for him, Jim's gonna get to work on this kind of cover story and then coordinating with the other two inspectors.
I'm ready.
There is one more thing, and it's pretty important.
Yeah.
You need to stop with the raisins and the tuna fish. Just
Disgusting.
Hold on. I'm rolling a d20 for something. All right. He goes, okay, so one of the constable's wives really likes to put raisins into everything. And she always, unasked, makes a whole bunch of food. And then she comes in the evening to see if all that food's gone. So we all just have to kind of choke it down when it happens. But I agree with you. It is absolutely foul. And I try to avoid eating any of it when I can. I will, I don't know, quietly talk to that constable about his wife's cooking when I can. It's terrible.
You're a good man, Jim. You're a good man.
I try to be. So Jim, now with a passion for both justice and better free lunches, gets to work on his paperwork, and so now you all have the information and such, and you have a person that you're relatively confident at this point that you can trust in the police force. Jim deserves better.
make it trend, people. Make it trend.
So Jim
Who do we want to go to first? Lisley or Matthias? I mean, the more people we get involved on our side, the more resources we have, the better.
Definitely, we need the wizard first.
Okay.
Whereas we need to make sure if there's going to be a process that has to happen, that we start the conversation about starting the process as soon as possible.
Okay, let's go.
The guy that started this game before we knew that it was about to be played is not terribly confident right now. So I want to do everything we can to get as prepared as possible.
So Matthias, as I stated, not Matthias, Lisley Clanthian, as I stated, lives on the kind of northern section of this spring over here in this little double white building, and kind of a little southeast of the university, but in the northwest of town, right? And so you head over there. It's fairly close. Do you all do anything else before you go and do a tour of NPCs, to hit another stop on the tour of NPCs?
No,
Should we take a long rest first?
Not unless you attack Lisley Clanthian or say something, or Trapir just busts out of roly-poly form.
Am I hearing yes?
You can take a long rest is 8 hours, so that's quite a bit of time. That would give
it'll be like 11 at night. We'll waste our whole day.
Yeah, but you could take a short rest
to recover some hit points.
Yeah, if y'all
Let's take a short rest.
Yeah, recover some hit points.
That's what, like just a couple hours?
It's an hour.
It's
an hour.
Perfect.
Yeah, get some lunch.
Right. I can get my other counter back too.
I literally get nothing for short rests.
You're a barbarian. It's
I'm also unhurt and have 2 of my 3 rages still available.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're golden. But for those that are spell,
well, Dragonborn get to reset their HP at short rest.
Yeah, they do.
That's good for me.
Yep. A short rest, plus we'll just say you grab maybe some actual food as some street food on the way. There's like kebabs and shit in the town. Some grill food. And such. There's nothing that like really inhibits you from going to Lisley Clanthian. So you get to Lisley Clanthian's domicile. It's strange. So what it was that originally it's pretty clear to anyone that it was like a kind of a covered market space where rotating stalls would come through, and like take the place of it. It's got kind of like a wood fence on the outer side, but it's a low one. It's only like 3 feet tall, and it's not got like a gate or anything. It's just sort of to fence off where the commercialism would have happened. And there are still a few empty stalls on the outside, but on the inside of it, in what would be a large cabin space, is the most temporary like looking permanent domicile you've ever seen. There are canvas walls that have been appropriated from like tent long-term tent traveling camping that are sort of acting as the walls of the place, and the opening is like a regular like tent flap opening that's just sort of like flapping in the gentle summer wind. So in the heat season wind, and there's no like totems or anything like that outside. There's nothing like marking it, and it just looks like one square box where he used basically there was already a frame for a roof, and so he used as much of it as he could to just sort of tent himself off. There is a little sign right at the entrance that says no solicitors, but that's it.
All right.
So I say we pose as solicitors. And
Oh, really?
no,
What is that going to accomplish? What's your,
not really.
explain to me your strategy there.
I love Skataki really being like, just like, fuck you.
Don't have a lot of respect.
That is actually a good point, though. Like, do we need to have a strategy to this, or are we going in hot? Are we basically just coming in and being like, there's a dire need for your talents or something like that?
Well, Skitaki, do you know this man? Have you met him before? What do you think would appeal to him more? Being deceptive or coming to him with what we need?
I don't know him. I know the next stop after this one, but I think our roly-poly is the only one who's had meaningful contact with him, and that wasn't positive.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just say, Trapir, you're going to hang out here for a minute longer. When we get to Matthias, we promise we'll let you out.
You'll get to play,
Rob, how you
Trapper.
feeling about this tent in front of us?
Krov?
Uh-oh. Is he frozen?
No, he's
Can we
not.
lose down?
I'm here. What's up?
What do you think about the tent? How do you feel about it?
Actually,
That's a perception check. If Krov chooses to roll one, or you could just play the Krov doesn't give a shit.
I was trying to imply like detect evil type.
yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Yeah, you got it then.
Detect
We're on the
evil.
same page.
Yeah.
All right, so you detect evil. I can't remember. I can't remember if I get to roll anything against that or not.
No, it's just an automatic.
Oh yeah, fucking paladins. I just get to know if there's bad stuff. All right. Krov, you sense a number of kind of not good sources of magic just sort of floating around in that area. Let me hit you with your detect evil. Where is it on your character sheet? Because I need to know what it tells you.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now.
I'm gonna pull Trapper out of my pocket and like put him up near my shoulder. I'm just like, if we need your help in there,
There it is.
don't
Divine
don't
sense.
hesitate to join us. And like, actually, I kind of want to make it so you sit outside of me instead of in my pocket because I don't want an exploded pocket if you have to wild shape.
Yeah, that's fair. Presence of strong evil, resonance to your sense like a noxious odor, powerful man. As an action, you can open your awareness 60 feet. You know the type. Fiendish is the type. You also find some undead evil and some celestial magic in there. If any being is in your presence, but not the identity. Within same radius, you detect the presence of any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated, as with the hollow spell. So yeah, you can detect that there are various different sources of evil and good magic in that place. I'll play it like that's what you know. There's lots. But there's not just evil and there's not just good. It's a lot of different
it just feels like it's teeming with stuff.
It's teeming with a shit ton of magic is what it is.
It's just all kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
Not in the alignment sense, but just in terms of like there's just so much stuff happening. Yeah, and then I'm gonna say that there's evil magic, there's good magic. It's all swirling about. Whatever's in there, there's a lot of magic and it's very powerful.
Perfect. So basically, exactly what we would already have expected, and
that is my conclusion.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Barry just walks up and look, but there's no wall to knock on, so he's just like, "Hello, anyone in there?"
No response.
I'm gonna just like peek the curtain open a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stand back from that.
When you open up the curtain, the inside of the place, it does not match the outside. There is a large kind of great room with a fireplace on the opposite end. It must be like a solid 150 feet deep, which is not what you're seeing. There are stairwells going up on either side in kind of a curved arc, like a West Coast McMansion, a curved arc up to like
a landing.
Like a landing that then goes into separate hallways for rooms.
Yeah.
There's beautiful chandeliers. There's all manners of statues, artifacts, bobs. There's tapestries hanging from the wall, beautifully upholstered furniture, and right in the center, you see Lisley Clanthian is doing push-ups right by the fire. He's doing push-ups, then he jumps into jumping jacks, then he jumps into running in place things, and he's just wearing like little athletic shorts essentially, and nothing else. He's just like working out and he's counting down. He's like, he seems to be doing sets of 10 and then rotating into a different calisthenic exercise.
Okay. Should I roll to see if I'm aroused?
If you want to roll to see if you're aroused, sure. I like the idea that I like the idea. Here, let's actually hold on. I'm gonna roll something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you prefer? We're gonna go with a particularly like yoked muscular form like David, or a more like a swimmer's body like Michael Phelps.
Oh, I'm into all sorts of bodies.
Oh, okay, then roll for arousal.
Okay. Got a 14.
14.
I don't know what high or low means on that roll. So
you're solidly aroused. Like it's not like with David where it's just like yes.
Sure.
You already kind of know that he's been described as kind of an asshole and as a racist. So like that's dampening it. But if we're just talking about aesthetics, like he keeps it very tight, obviously. And he's not a bad looking. I mean, he's an elf, right? Like, so he's pretty.
Stars,
he's very pretty.
Stars like 20. They will forget someone's an asshole if they're.
Yeah. And so
and being an elf, he's probably
glow.
ageless too.
Yeah.
If it's all for a moment, they will forget.
He's got that good glow to him. It's like he's doing it. He's being active. He's obviously doing it, but it's not like winding him too aggressively. And so yeah. So he's looking good.
I'm into that.
You're into it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. But we have a matter of urgency that we need to discuss with you.
He stops, slows down, turns around and everything, and he goes, it's Barry that's peeking his head in. Barry, roll a straight charisma check. This isn't going to stop you from coming in or anything. I just want to know, sort of offhand, what his instinct is.
18.
Ooh, very good. He's like, yeah. Oh, yes. Come in.
Thank you.
Come in.
I have some friends with me. Is it okay if they come in too?
Yes, of course.
Come on in, guys. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And he waves you all into this palatial state. You can now, as you're inside of it, hear it gently with like some piano music, some harpsichord music is kind of just amorphously playing in the background. You can see that a few of the items are automatonic items that kind of like move like with clockwork machinery in his house that are like the statues, so they kind of gently shift occasionally and their eyes shift around or their arms wave and stuff. And you know, there's some nice couches and some nice seating. He grabs a towel off of an armchair and begins patting himself down, and then waves over for someone. Trapir, this one's for you. I need you to roll stealth with advantage.
All right. Am I using my stats? I couldn't.
You're using
I couldn't
your
find the
stealth stat.
roly-poly.
Yeah,
Okay.
strangely enough, they don't have a stats for a roly-poly in D&D.
Yeah, I was looking at like the 0 CR beasts, and there's like homunculus and shit.
Yeah, they don't
It's
expect
fucking
people to become bugs very often in D&D. I think it's because we kind of modify wild shape to let you turn into much smaller things. Because we just ignore the conservation of mass concept of it. And we're just like, whatever, you just get to turn into little things. If you want to. It's more fun that way. Anyway.
14.
14. All right, I am going to roll insight with disadvantage. This is not actually his insight, but I'm going to use this for the trigger for something.
Okay.
To be fair, he could also just be like 150-pound roly-poly, or however much. You're not
tucked
that.
away.
200-pound roly-poly.
He's
I
just
can't
very
wild
dense.
shape into like real tiny things. though.
Exactly.
Yeah, very, very dense. He's a very dense roly-poly.
The only one in the party that could probably carry you then.
Exactly.
Well, no, like so. Okay, I can't. There are 0 CR like crabs and frogs.
Yeah, you
and
can wild
stuff,
shape
so.
And Spider, too, right? Wasn't Spider on a 0 CR one?
Yep,
Yeah,
I think I can.
there is
so,
one.
Yeah,
There we
you're
go.
Fine.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, he doesn't. So nothing unpleasant happens at this
Cool.
point.
Okay.
He's still roly-poly and stuff, and he
Perfect.
sits down and he's like,
For the record, that was actually a 16 because spiders have +4 to stealth.
yeah, there you go. He looks across at all of you. There's plenty of seating around him, and he's like, do you want anything to drink, anything to eat while you're here? Welcome to my home. I don't believe I've had the pleasure. And he doesn't like go to shake your hand, he just sits.
First question.
You are Leslie Clancy,
Hold on.
correct?
Does it have reason?
Oh,
Crab, we
sorry.
can barely hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Whatever you got to eat, does it have raisin?
Like I have raisins, but like,
No, I don't want raisins.
yeah, most things don't have raisins. Why would you be worried about things having raisins?
I missed that. Were we offered food?
Yeah, he did.
It was back at the.
Oh, I missed that. My
Second
bad.
question. Do you have a bowl of raw meat?
Yeah, I have a bowl of raw meat. I can get you a bowl of raw meat. I can get any of you whatever you want. And he snaps his
Honestly, at this point, I'm way more thirsty than hungry.
Yeah, you are.
And he immediately orders like a drink tray. And when I say immediately orders, he just snaps his fingers up, and then like these invisible servants just start rolling in, and like none of you are super familiar with the invisible servant spell, but he makes them wear hats, so you can see these like bobbing hats, push in like these drink carts and these food carts, and one of them has a bowl of raw meat and everything, and he's like.
Mhm.
He's like, so I can assume you know who I am, but my name is Litet Clanthian. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting any of you while these things are kind
Pleasure
of
to meet you. My name's Barry.
Barry, excellent.
I am Velvet Star of the Black Clothes Trading Company.
Ooh, I believe I might have done business with them sometime. What a pleasure! And I'm sorry, sir. I know you're from Waterswealth, but what is your name?
My name's Skataki.
And for the connoisseur of a raw food diet lifestyle, what's your name, sir?
I am between mouthfuls of meat. I am Kravar.
Kravar, excellent. Well met. Have a seat. Grab food. Grab drink. What can I do for you?
Well, Leslie, you look like a man who doesn't like to have your time wasted, so we should cut to the chase. Do you know what's going to happen here in the night of the double moon?
He immediately shifts body language, and he's like, and squints, and he goes, "Good Hammer didn't send you, did he?"
He did not.
He believes you.
I mean, I'm not lying.
Yeah, I know, but he's suspicious. And he's like,
If you you
I'm actually going to
apparently
say,
haven't
you
heard.
want to know
but
who's
word in
responsible
town-
for Good Hammer's house burning to the ground? Yours truly.
With Good Hammer in it.
All right, so Barry
Oh,
doesn't have to
that
roll
way.
deception, but Star does.
I went too far, you're right.
Because that's a lie.
Oh no!
And then Skataki, you were saying something, correct?
I'm behind the curve. I was going to say that in case you hadn't heard, his house burned down and they think he's dead, but we're already claiming credit for arson. That's good.
Oh, I figured at this point that would be a hand that would gain us favor.
Yeah.
But I might have gone too hard too fast, but it's okay because I also got a 23.
God,
That's
fuck.
been-
I rolled a 20. I got a 21 in insight. God damn.
Nice.
so
Digital high five to Star.
so he goes.
That's all those extra skill points.
Yep, that's that roguelife.
That is fantastic.
That's that rogue life.
He sits there and he's like, "Oh well, I mean, I'm already offering you the same quality food I would eat myself, but if I were screwing you, I would offer you better food now. Good, fantastic. Yes, I know about what's going to happen on the 2 full moons. I know that that Good Hammer was looking to deal with it, and then his house burnt down. I know the Magister has hired those Kenku folks to handle the problem, and I wasn't aware of it until that, and I know it's all related to that awful Skeeter fellow. He's the one that is doing that. So yeah, I'm aware of what's going on in Waterswell. Yeah.
Do you know what the Kenku's plans are? If they're dealing with it?
Well, I assume that they are. I don't really tend to interact on state business, but when I brought this up to after Good Hammer came to me, I then investigated it myself. I discovered what was happening. I went to the Magister, and then, of course, his assistant is the one that I talked to, because talking to the Magister is like talking to a brick wall. And when I talked to the assistant, she said that they had it in hand, that the Kenku were going to execute the monster as it was coming about, and that they were going to celebrate the success and smart maneuvering of the Magister with the Kenku killing a potential threat. And I think they want to apprehend Skeeter. I think that was their goal, but I'm not sure on that. I don't know about those details. But they didn't want my help, so I came back, went back there. I've mostly been distracted over the past couple days. Unfortunately, I don't know if you've heard about this, but my shop was destroyed by a giant tree. Also...
Oh, that's your tree. I mean, your shop.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
A person with a cursed whip came into it, and I panicked because I was currently working on a decursing spell, and at the time that they walked in, it was an unfortunate moment, and I just immediately tried to shoo them away. I was admittedly harsher than I probably should have been, but time was of the essence. And then they solved there's another thing that I now have to deal with the curse. But that was it wasn't my finest moment. I don't do well in tense situations. It's why I try to keep this calming place around me. And so I don't know what was happening, but the tree came up. It looks like one of Skeeter's acorns, and exploded on the thing. And destroyed my shop. So I will figure that out eventually, but it's been distracting. I haven't decided if I want to reopen the curio shop there, open in a new location, or just work out of my home here.
Sure.
Well, so then you know why we're here. If you know what we're talking about, we're we're trying to gather as much help as possible because I don't think that the Kenku or the magistrate can be trusted at this point.
You don't think the magistrate can be trusted? Why would that be?
Well, because they're the ones who hired the Kenku. Given what we know about the Kenku, we don't trust them at all.
What are the Kenku up to?
We found them impersonating several townsfolk.
Kenku impersonating several townsfolk. What?
They're doing a
why?
lot of awfully suspicious activity surrounding it.
He sits there and he thinks about it, and so you worry they mean Waters' wealth harm. Is that's what you're worried about?
I'm absolutely worried about that. Do you know anything about this festival that they're throwing the same night?
What? Oh, yes, yeah. It's all part of. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I figured it out. The Magister wants the accolades of the festival. He wants the accolades of him. So a lot of people have been upset that he hasn't delivered on the promises that he said that he would. So what he has done is turn this very real problem into a political stunt. Now, he spent a lot of the town's money on this, which, you know, the town's solid. It'll survive. It'll recoup its wealth, if you were, forgive my pun. But he spent a lot of money on this, and everything, and so it's mostly a publicity stunt as far as I can see, which I figured was harmless as long as the Kenku are going to do it. What are you worried that they're going to do? They were hired for the job of dealing with this problem. They're being paid quite handsomely. Like, what else are they going to do?
Well, they're also infiltrating sites around the town in a circle, taking them over, either, you know, places they can sneak in or subduing the people that are already there. And they're definitely planning something.
What kind of impression am I getting from this guy about, like, how trustworthy is he?
Insight roll on that bad boy. Because
I feel like I should do that too, because I'm leaning in the same
I feel
thought.
like everybody should do that right now, honestly, including
Insight.
Trapir. Yeah.
I'm obviously very, very distracted by having the hots for this guy, and it is obviously getting worse because my brain is now trying to convince me that now he's not a racist.
11.
Which means I should definitely talk to him more. What I'm saying is I rolled a nat 1.
Jesus. Yeah. Not only do you trust him, you're pretty sure that you can see kind of the outline of his package in his little shorts while he's sitting there, and it's a good look. It's a good look.
I don't think I'd go so far to say that Star trusts him, though. I think I would go to the point to say that Star got interrupted halfway through the thought of whether or not they should trust him.
Yeah, he just shifted his legs
and completely forgot about the question.
Damn, Liz Clanthium.
I got
it's as long
14.
as your fucking name. 14, 11, nat 1, Krav or Skataki. What did you roll for insight?
6.
I rolled 13.
13. All right. He seems pretty trustworthy. Like, you're not like dead on sure if he's like, it's not like Jim Biggins, who you're 100% sure based off both action and your intuition. But he seems pretty straightforward about everything. He's provided you a lot of information.
Krav, you know the specifics about what you saw in that camp.
I'll tell him exactly what I found out.
So the Kenku are looking to control whatever comes out of there rather than slaughter it.
That's what we suspect.
And he looks and he's like, do you suspect they're going to use it against Waters' wealth for any reason, or are they just taking control of it?
I mean, they are Kenku. Why would they be controlling a giant monster if they weren't going to use it to attack Waterswell?
Even without a giant monster yet being there, there's definitely some really nasty energy in that camp. I don't think that it's a great move to give them any benefit of the doubt as far as intent goes. And I don't think that we're going to get intent out of them either.
They've also been sneaking around
is
and
that
disguising
lying
themselves
and tricking everyone.
Exactly.
And that I don't know if I even trust them to safely contain this thing, even if they do mean to capture it and contain it safely.
I can only assume there's layers of espionage involved.
He sits and he thinks.
Again, they are Kenku.
And what would they do with such an immensely powerful weapon?
Oh, I'm sure they'd use it against, or use it for their own opportune moments. That's not a question.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind of that, and it's good that you've all discovered this. He sits and thinks, and he's like, all right. So, you're concerned that there might be some problems with the Magister. You're concerned that the Kenku fortress, or the Kenku mercenary group, might be manipulating the town. You're concerned about their infiltration of Grace Hope Church Cathedral.
They even took the Caspies hostage.
They took the Caspies are so nice.
I know, right?
You're concerned about that. What then would have you at my door at this afternoon?
We just want to make sure.
I appreciate this information, but like, what has you here telling me this?
We want to know. We want to learn how to stop this entirely.
Stop the summoning thing that Skeeter's
Yes.
into?
Correct.
And he sits and he thinks. He stands up slowly and walks over to a book on his shelf, and starts like looking around a little bit around it, and then pulling it slowly opening it and turning the pages. Let's see who would have this. Trapir. Who else uses magic? Trapir, Krav, and Greg. Do you have any ranger spells yet? Oh, Greg's stepped away for the moment.
I technically have magical abilities related to nature.
Are they casting abilities or just?
Yeah, I have. Remember, I have speak with animals and beast sense.
Okay, I'll let you do this too. All of you roll either perception or insight. Minus Star, you're a rogue. You might have some you have some abilities. Or did
I have abilities, yes.
But we kind of railed you into this, into like your key point. I can't remember what you call them, but yeah.
They're like counters.
Yeah, they're counters. I'm gonna say Star doesn't have the ability to do this as quickly. And so I'm giving Barry, Krav, and Trapir perception or insight, whatever's high.
Sorry, I heard my name called, but I was in desperate need of a bio break.
Skitaki, do you have any spells yet as a ranger?
Yes.
Okay.
Roll insight or perception, whichever one.
I got a 17.
Steve, if it matters, I cannot cast while I'm an ectopod.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
God damn it!
18. No, 19.
You get 5.
And then Krav,
Using my highest skill.
Krav, what did you get?
15.
All right, you don't. I rolled very high on this, on his casting ability. You don't immediately understand what's about to happen. And so it kind of happens to you as a bit of a surprise. He sits and he casts. Hold on. Give me a moment.
If he sits and starts casting, how far are we from him?
You're not far. You're like 40, like within 30 feet of him. You're within engage range. He's standing up at the bookshelf that's like nearest to you. Yeah, he cast this. And it's an instantaneous cast, so you can't physically react to it, but that's what the perception was for. And I rolled his, just to be clear to the players and people watching, I rolled his casting modifier to this, and I rolled a 17, so it was a 22. And put that up against your
Gotcha.
perception, insight.
And this isn't a spell that requires, I forget what the word is, but it doesn't require like hand movements or anything.
No, it's purely verbal, and he cast it successfully before any of you can react to it. And okay, so nothing changes for you. He just puts the book down and sits back down with you, and everything. And so he's like, "You want me to help with the thing, Trapir?" As he starts talking to the rest of the group, Trapir, you find yourself tucked away in a small gray box. Barry, will you roll perception?
19.
Trapir is not on you anymore. You immediately, as he starts talking, felt like the weight difference of a giant, heavy-massed pillbug. So as he's talking, Trapir, that weight is gone from you. Trapir, you find yourself in a small gray box with like a little viewpoint hole, and you're on the bookshelf facing the couches. You're still in your roly-poly form, and you're in a box that contains your roly-poly form. On that, and you can see them through like a little eye slit, and everything. But you are currently physically no longer in Barry. So that happened instantly in the moment from him flipping the book, and then he puts down the book. It feels like you instantly moved there.
I'm not going to do anything yet.
You're not going to do anything yet. And so he sits back. So Barry, this is also the moment that you recognize in that moment while he's sitting back down that weight is gone. You recognize it pretty much instantly from when it happened. And everything. So Trapir is no longer.
But that's the only information I have. I just know that he's gone.
Yeah,
so I start like looking around.
Can you what?
Am I the same size?
You are yes, you're the same size. You're still in your roly-poly form, and everything, and you're in a box that's fairly containing even to your small size. You're in like a little like almost like a 2-3 finger by 3 finger kind of box. That's just big enough for you to kind of wiggle around a little bit and be in a roly-poly form and see through the slot.
Okay, so
how big are roly-polies in Washington?
I don't know.
So my first instinct was to try to click against the side to signal Barry, since he just felt the weight go down and would be looking around. But presumably, Lisley, it's weird to think of that as a single name. Lisley is aware that whatever he just cast would have been transported to this box. But if I'm the same size, how is he going to cast full-size people into this box? Unless he already knew about me. In which case, I don't know. I'm gonna try to make a little bit of a clicking noise against this side.
You successfully make a clicking noise from your perspective, but from the exterior's perspective, no noise escapes that little box. There's no way for a Trapir to know this. But no noise escapes that little box. And so, so Barry, you're looking around a little bit, while you're doing that. Barry, I'm gonna let you roll, either perception or insight. I'm gonna say that first I'm gonna have you roll stealth to kind of hide the fact that you're looking around. Then I'm gonna have you roll perception or insight based off that.
12 for stealth.
Okay, then just roll perception or insight flat. If you roll particularly high, I would have given you advantage, but that's it.
I got 16 on my perception.
Nope. All right, you notice that there is a box on the shelf that wasn't there before. You're pretty sure it wasn't there, but you're not like 100%, but you're like 75, 80% sure it wasn't there before. That's the only change you've noticed in the area. Up on the shelf near the book. What were you going to say, Trapir?
I shift into a frog
frog. Okay.
And I make a jump, and I go pump inside the box.
To move
Like
it around.
try to do a full jump to like bang against the top of the box and rad a little bit.
Roll an athletics check.
I'm trying to jump forward to try to like edge it
Move the
again,
box,
like
yeah.
toward the edge of the shelf. 10. What am I rolling?
Athletics. That won't be
Yeah.
enough.
Athletics.
You do
12,
feel
yeah.
like the box is unnaturally like solid and heavy. It doesn't seem to move. Like it's not like you're moving against a magically immovable object so much as a frog you only have so much force, and that jump did not provide. There's not like enough room in there. You're also even if you're a small frog, a little bit more cramped in your thing. It's not like you can get a lot of like squat momentum from it, and so you can move around in it, but it's not seeming like it's moving.
Art.
Yeah.
Can I say the frog has an ability called Standing Leap, where it can jump 10 feet forward and 5 feet high without a running start? Does
Okay.
that
Give me
impact?
another athletics roll with this one with advantage.
Okay.
That would usually imply that you had space to move that much, but I'll let it imply that you can, do it better.
It specifically says with or without a running start.
No, it's not about the running start.
Oh.
It's about the weight of the box, right?
Gotcha.
And the size. That's what's
The
actually
space.
preventing it.
Yeah.
If it were a lighter box, you'd just be able to do it.
I got an 18
An 18.
plus. Well, I guess I don't have a
What's your frog athletics?
dex plus 1, so
Yeah.
19.
Athletics is usually strength, but I'll let you do
Yeah.
dex.
Good.
And 19 and 18 are pretty similar here. All right, so the box jostles a little bit and starts moving a little bit. It will slowly move toward the edge if you keep at this. And Barry, you clock, since you had already clocked that it's moving a little bit. And everything. Liz Lake-Lanthian is like, so you need me to help with this thing? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a lot of interest in Skeeter. And being in direct conflict with Skeeter, like he is demeaning to the rest of the magic interested elven kind, but he's also very, very unpleasant to deal with. He is grown in a lot of power, and I don't like putting my neck out for that normally, but I also don't like Water's wealth. What is your plan to deal with this?
We wanted to interrupt his summoning circle, but we need to know exactly how to do it.
Oh, well, a plane shift will do that for you. I can do that, but in order to do it, hold on, let me make sure that I put this right. The right spell. Did I not note it? Come on. I didn't note. I think it's plane shift. It's a level 7 spell. It's a plane traveling spell. So plane shift will absolutely do that for you. All I have to do at the time is be there to either move Skeeter in a different direction or whatever Skeeter summons in a different direction, and it won't be able to resist. Not at the level that I can do it at, but that is a little risky. And you say that the Kenku are involved in trying to get to it, so I don't know if I could do it in a way where I could prevent both of them from like. He sits and he starts considering, and he's sipping his beverage slowly, and he's like,
And then I'm going to say, well, if you don't think you can do it, I'm basically trying to
goad him.
wound his ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sits and he's like, I think I could do it. I could do it. I can do it. Let's be clear. I will be able to do it. But
What do you need from me to make that easier for you?
well,
Us. What do you need from us to make that easier?
I can help you be really relaxed.
That's good role play right there, Star. I caught it. And for a brief moment, he looks you up and down, and he's like, maybe. I ain't against it. That's for damn sure. But he looks and he thinks.
I'm gently purring.
I need.
Clearly, Star has bard blood in her.
Uh,
Because if no one is this thirsty other than a bard.
Yeah, Star is the thirstiest rogue, filling in the bard role. He looks.
I am a bit of an atypical rogue, to be fair.
Yeah. Selene, always.
And also an entitled brat.
Right?
Who's trying to LARP as a brave adventurer. So let's not forget any of those. I just happen to also be good at things.
Brave adventurer. Brave adventurers get some on the rank. That's just what you've known from your books.
Precisely. It makes me steer the more I try to, get deeper into the role of the new me.
Liz Clanthian sits and he looks down and he looks back up and he's like, well, the first thing you can do is explain to me why there is an entity disguised as a creature that was in your pocket, sir, but is now on my shelf trying desperately to get out of its new cage. And then
I'll
we can
explain
move
precisely why.
I shift into a commoner.
You shift into a commoner. All right, I need you to roll a Constitution save in commoner stats. So you actually, I think, get a negative to this.
I get a 0, but I rolled a 5, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, commoner is so it's not going to matter anyway. You are going to take.
Well, let me scroll down the monster by CR list.
Well, I think you're running out of wild shapes. I think you do have a limit per day or per short rest.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just realized we should have gotten Trapir out of here a while ago.
Trapir, you take how many? Hold on, let me look at commoner hit point stats. Oh, please. I want it to go a certain way as the DM.
Yeah. Commoner is my last for until short rest.
Yep. So you morph into a commoner, so like a regular human, just sort of like disguised, but like still a human being.
I was gonna be an elf servant.
So you morph into that, but you in the box, because it's trying to crush you and contain you, it damages you. It is blunt damage, it's bludgeoning damage, and it does 14 damage to you. Your commoner hit points are 4, which means that it does 4 hit points, knocks you out of your commoner form into Trapir's natural form, and does another 10 damage to you, because that's what happens when you go down to 0, and everything. And then get attacked past that. So you have 10 hit points to your actual normal pool, which should probably be full, but is now less 10. And you are the coyote man that he had an altercation with and everything. And he immediately reacts to this because you bust out onto it during the questioning phase. He turns, sees the commotion. His shelving there is broken. Some of his books fall off. Something shatters on the ground, and everything. And he goes,
I think that probably answers the question.
I was like, well, shit. I guess we're even, Lizley.
Now, if this was an episode of television, this is absolutely where I would pause it.
Freeze frame into a drawing.
This is the yes baseline at the end of JoJo, right? Like, that's what it is. To be continued.
Given that we're only 10 minutes short of
I think this is where we're going to pause it for.
It's a great pausing point.
So, Lizley Clampton.
And Patience is going to love it.
Oh,
yes.
Is going to be so happy to hear that this happened not around her.
Oh, let's be real. We all kind of hoped something like this would happen.
I was rolling way
if
too
we were
good
really,
for the
if
first
we
half
were
of the
really
night.
being careful, we would have left Trapir behind. But we don't want to leave Josh out of it. And
Right, exactly.
So,
but he still got that damn whip on him, right?
Yep.
He does still have the whip on him, and it's going to be interesting. But he was there to overhear that was one of the big things that and he now knows that the whip is cursed.
Yeah. And I have a fast quip on hand, so I got to make sure I still remember it Tuesday if we're stopping.
Write it down in the notes. So we are stopping.
Yeah.
Write it down in the notes. I'll do
I got
the exit here, the outro. Thank you for everyone, mostly us, but also Sam, and Pope Peaches, for joining us for this episode of Through the Mill. This is an every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, actual play campaign. I'd like to thank my posse for the tour of NPC interactions as we slowly get closer to impending doom. And remember to follow us on Twitch here. You can also catch up on YouTube. All of these episodes are uploaded to YouTube, Dying of Exposure, as well as follow us on social media at Dying of Exposure, Facebook, Twitter, dying_of_exposure like the Twitch, but on Instagram. But thank you very much, and you all have a good afternoon. Or night. I guess it's night. It's nighttime, right? It's nighttime for everyone.
It is nighttime. Yes, I just looked outside.
All
totally
right.
nighttime.
All right. Bye, everybody.